Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story is coming from the Nuclear Revenge subreddit from Darling Darcy, who says, got fired, reported them to OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and destroyed a family business and made them leave town. So, a while back, I'd been hired to be the marketing person for a family business. It was a fitness equipment liquidator that had been founded by a gold medalist Olympian. He'd fallen into some mental health issues and had delegated his wife to take over the business. She didn't have the experience, but took the reins anyways, and she and her children ran the place, albeit with some success. So this is where I come in. The first red flag I should have seen was that she was trying to screw over the recruiter by wanting us to do a side deal to pay me technically less, but still more than I would have gotten without the recruiter as the middle person. But I was in bed and I didn't think too much about it. The next thing was how embedded the family aspect was in this business, that there was basically no distinction between the employees and family affairs being wrapped up in their work environment too. But I was just happy to finally be in a space where I felt welcome and almost loved bombed by the CEO, who treated me like one of her own children. Always lots of hugs and even kisses during good morning meetings, as if we're coming downstairs for breakfast. Meetings ended up turning into brainstorming sessions because the CEO's children and the workers were so scatterbrained and didn't want to commit to any specific plans of action. And I was basically on my own when it came to any marketing of anything, because nobody would actually participate if it came down to it. About a month or so into it, I get ambushed by the CEO and her daughter, who was like the operations person technically or something. Both were wondering why we hadn't achieved as much as I'd wanted to, and when I explained that I didn't really receive much help or participation from anyone, suddenly it became all about blaming me for everything wrong, and why sales were down and why nothing was exponentially growing, as she had hoped they would. I explained what actions I had taken, and that I was doing exactly what I said I was going to do. It wasn't my fault nobody wanted to help when they said they would. It didn't matter. They wanted me gone because they expected the moon in 3 weeks' time with zero budget and zero help from anyone else. So I just left. I want to add, I did a lot while there. I automated a lot of their processes that they were doing by hand, set up Salesforce and Slack, as well as setting up and handling Zendesk and the ticketing system, and even automating a lot of point-of-sale processes so that from card tap to accounting, it was all smooth and seamless, and I made tons of things very efficient for them and improved productivity while there. But none of that mattered, of course. They wanted double the sales from basically social media posting and nothing else. While I was there, I had documented tons of OSHA violations, exposed wires where customers would walk, ADA or ADA violations, which Google says Americans with Disabilities Act, customer safety violations, forklifts operated with zero certification and no PPE, and having employees standing on top of the forks just to reach the warehouse ceiling. I've seen that before. But no safety anything, structural violations, you name it, they did landlord special type fixes and left things in often worse states than before. I made the call and sent OSHA photos of what I had documented, which I had only documented in the event of needing to use it. Never actually expected it to come to that, but I did. After talking with them, it was explained to me that there was months-long processes to get actions to be taken, even with evidence. The penalties for the violations I had evidence for were financially crippling fines I knew they wouldn't be able to handle. And after months of checking every now and then, I get confirmation action was taken. Then a couple of months later, I drove past the warehouse/showroom and saw that it was abandoned. Broken letters, overgrown grass in the parking lot, boarded up windows and doors. The lease, all gone and dilapidated. While I was placing those calls, I was also reaching out to my realtor friend who is super good at what she does, saying that we should time it right so that after these fines and penalties, that she can drop literature off at their door until they're convinced to sell. She didn't do it in time, but she did catch wind that the house had been sold and sold fast. Their website was 404'd and they basically packed their bags and left. I still can't believe it worked, but sometimes in life we have to accept that we are the karma that someone has coming to them. Goodbye, Amy. Whatever you and your family left to, we're even. Absolutely, I love that OP got their own back in this situation, but it wasn't all about their revenge in this as well. It sounds like they were shooting themselves in the foot time and time again with all the health and safety issues, the people standing on top of forklifts to get to, on the forks to get to the roof. And like I said, I've seen that in real life as well. And every time I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? But this family, it kind of sounded like this business was going down the pan anyway, and they were looking for someone to blame and put it on OP. I found so many similarities to a company that I worked for. All smiles and stuff to your face, but then, when something starts going wrong, they're the first to blame you. And that company I worked for was a bloody health and safety nightmare as well. They claimed to have, they kept putting processes in place, but it was all for show. One of them that was 5S system, which is sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. And for health and safety, they had people everyone had to call out 2 people during the month. They wanted you to pick up this star that they had hanging around certain places and chuck it on the floor. Then you stand on it and then you tell the person that you're observing them doing what they're doing. So saying they're making a cup of coffee. I'm going to watch you while you're making your cup of coffee. Make sure you're doing it in the safest way possible. And you have to note down and all this kind of stuff. It's just oh God. But in that company, they would only prioritize health and safety when it suited them. I remember the directors wanted us to carry a table down the stairs. This was a massive table. And, we couldn't hold anything while walking down the stairs. But because it suited them at the time, we just bypass it this once. I was an idiot back then and never spoke up very much, but I wouldn't be doing that shit now, let me tell you. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story from the same subreddit from Method, who says, I hunted down my credit card thieves. Oh, what a title. Cross-posted. Recommended several times in petty revenge, delete if not allowed. Yesterday morning, I received an email notification from my credit card company stating a transaction for $1,500 at a med spa was declined, and another stating it was approved. I immediately called said credit card company to report the fraudulent charge. Turns out my card has had fraudulent charges for over the past 3 weeks, with purchases including various hotels in my area, eBay, gas station, self-storage, and moving truck rental. I rarely use this card. The last time I used it in person was in February, and last online purchase was in 2023. Fortunately, my credit card company flagged all recent charges and closed my card. This morning, my significant other had a doctor's appointment in the same city as the hotel purchase made yesterday. After the doctor's, boyfriend asked me what I thought we should do today. I said, well, he wanted to shop for some new shoes, or we could swing by this hotel up the street and see if the credit card thieves are still there. The amount seemed like it would cover 2 or 3 days. So boyfriend and I go to the hotel to see if the people were still checked in, and to let them know the card was stolen and the charges would be reversed. Front desk lady was pissed. She was able to find the reservation by card number and noted that the person had kept changing cards to pay for the room. Of course, they didn't tell me the room number, much to my boyfriend's dismay. Boyfriend was hoping to get the room key to take their stuff. Lol. Right. I called credit card company and they asked me to call the police. I called the sheriff department and they arrived within 20 minutes. I was surprised they even came. I gave them my report, ID, and credit card. The deputy asked if I wanted to prosecute. I said yes, but can I prosecute if my credit card company is going to refund all the money anyway? Then they went inside and spoke to the front desk, who provided them the invoice. Boyfriend and I waited outside in front of the lobby. Then, through the automatic sliding doors, I hear the front desk lady yell, "That's him! He's trying to leave!" Light Hispanic dude with a bull terrier and several bags get placed in cuffs. He gets brought outside, searched, then doggo gets cuffed to a trash can. Then another little Asian guy gets brought out in cuffs. A third deputy arrives and brings out a fancy Asian lady with a full face of fillers, 2 suitcases, and a Coach backpack. 4 officers start going through the backpacks on the hood of their car. We see passports, IDs, credit cards. They pull out a big credit card printing machine and a laptop. Then they pull out a big Ziploc filled with crystal meth, and the cop exclaims, "Here we go," and turns towards us to flash a smile. Two of them go back to search the hotel room and bring down 2 bags with more drugs, a scale, 4 car keys, and a big wad of cash. Unfortunately, none of the cars were in the parking lot, and the perps said they had been traveling by Uber. The cops contacted one of the thieves' friends to pick up the dog, who arrived pretty quickly. It was an older Asian dude with tattoos, flashy jewelry, in an old luxury SUV. Don't worry, we got his pics and license plates. All these guys seem like characters out of The Brothers' Son. The deputies then gave me all the paperwork and told me that one of the guys said they stole my card off the internet. I would have guessed that they used a scanner while I was at the fair a few weeks ago. I find that so weird because I haven't used my card online in almost a year. Apparently they made a physical card that had a different name on it. Anywho, I walked inside to give the front desk a copy of the incident number, and then I remembered something else. I remember seeing another transaction for a storage unit that was made yesterday, and 2 charges at a rental truck company. I go back outside and talk to the sheriff and asked him if he wanted me to try and figure out where that was. I was able to track down the storage location to a city about 15 minutes away, but no can do on the trucks. I called the storage place and they confirmed that a payment was made with my card but would not give me the unit number. From there, the sheriff said that it would be out of their jurisdiction and they would try to get a search warrant, but that might take a while. However, it might be helpful if I made a police report with the other city. So, with nothing better to do, I drove my ass over there and made another police report regarding the storage unit. That's it for now. We'll update if anything else happens. In the meantime, I'll call up the credit bureau to freeze my social security, tell my dog to be on alert and load magazines. Any other suggestions? Also, Copper asked if I wanted to prosecute, but that was before the drug bust, so do I need a lawyer? Thanks in advance. And Opie added a mini update on the top of this post that just said, "Mini update, got a notification in the mail of the court date this week. Kinda bummed, only one of the 3 are being charged. I'm hoping to attend if I can get a babysitter for my baby. Do they allow babies in courtrooms?" And on OP's profile, there is a picture which I will show, which looks like a fairly large police vehicle with a police officer or sheriff. I don't know the difference too much. And on top of the police car, there's a bunch of stuff there. I don't know, it kind of looks like it's a money counter or industrial scales, something along those lines, with a bunch of other things as well. That's one of those situations, if I was sitting in that hotel lobby, I would have been absolutely thriving. Not that OP is going for a hard time, but seeing bad people getting arrested would just, it'd be something else. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from the Best of No Updates subreddit from TA Borrowed Ring and says, "Am I the arsehole for not letting my niece borrow my engagement ring? I, 28 female, recently got engaged to the man of my dreams, and he picked the perfect engagement ring. I can't get over how well he did without asking me any questions about it. It even fits perfectly despite neither of us actually knowing my ring size. I was watching my little niece, 6 female, this weekend when she saw my ring. She thought it was really pretty and wanted to try it on. I explained to her that this ring was very special to me and I didn't want anyone else wearing it. However, I have other jewelry that we could go through together and she could wear it if she wanted. She didn't. She just wanted to wear this ring. So she started pouting. I tried to get her to focus on other things and activities, but she was still in the mood about it by the time my sister, 26 female, came to pick her up a couple of hours later. My sister was annoyed and asked why I couldn't just let her wear it for a little bit. I tried to explain, but she said, "I just don't understand kids." Later in the week, my sister stopped by with my niece to let my dogs out while I was at work. In my line of work, wearing a ring isn't very practical, so I leave it in the ring box by my bed and put it back on when I get home. When I got home, I couldn't find it. I panicked. I looked everywhere I could think of. I called my sister to see if she had seen it while she was there, and she admitted she took it and let my niece wear it for the day. I was fuming. They'd gone to the zoo. It could have been lost anywhere. My sister even admitted that they had forgotten it on a table for a few minutes, but I shouldn't be mad because they got it back. I yelled at my sister that she shouldn't have taken the ring when I specifically told her I didn't want my niece or anyone else wearing it because I was worried about this exact kind of thing happening. I told her that I would find someone else to let my dogs out when I was working and that she wasn't allowed in my house when I'm not home anymore. She said I'm being unfair to my niece, who loves my dogs and just wanted to feel like a princess for a little while. I'm not mad at my niece, and I don't want to punish her for what my sister did. Am I the arsehole? Mac Lady says to this one, not the arsehole. Your sister stole your ring. Stole it. I'll tell her to pound sand and not to talk to her for a while. But you do you on that regard. You never had to let your niece borrow it anyway. Nobody is obligated to share, especially not a piece of jewelry. And the entitlement and attitude from your sister is appalling. Your niece would get over this small, normal childhood disappointment because, surprise, surprise, most people won't want to share their jewelry with her. And change your locks. Your humble overlord says not the arsehole. How would little princess have replaced it if it had gotten lost or damaged or dirty? I love little kids, but a 6-year-old has no concept of the value of an engagement ring. Sister is beyond out of line. In situations like this, I always think about the kids' future and I think, fucking hell, what is this teaching them? What is this telling them that it's acceptable, that you can just take what you want when you want and there's no repercussions to it? I mean, if that ring was lost, do you think your sister would replace that? I very much doubt it. And this is all without even thinking about the fact that, she was meant to be in your house to let the dogs out, but instead she's sneaking around your house, snooping around your house. I wonder how often she does that kind of thing as well. But how would you deal with this situation? I wouldn't have that sister in your house again, but let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Our next story is from Filingo, who says, my 15 male parents, 40 male, 38 female, want to adopt 3 kids, 8 female, 7 female, 7 male, and raise them with my money. When I was 10 to 13, I was kind of lucky to be able to do a few TV shows, movies, and some ads. I wasn't lucky or talented, I guess, to stay in that line of work, but made some money which my parents have invested for me until I'm 18. I think the amount is now about 250k. I plan to use this for my education and what remains for whenever I want to buy a house or start my own business. I'm an only child. My parents have always wanted more kids but never had them. In the past year, my parents have been looking to adopt. Last night I woke up late and overheard my parents speaking downstairs that there's a possible candidate. These 3 kids. I always thought they wanted to adopt 1 child. My dad told my mum that we can't afford them, but my mum mentioned that there's my money too. My dad asked, what about his college? Mum said, we won't spend all of it, but if we did, he can get loans like everyone else. Dad said, yeah, I guess. He won't like it though. And Mum said, he doesn't need to know now. So I was so pissed when I heard that. They're planning to spend most or all of my money without even telling me. It seems like their plan is to wait until I'm 18 and tell me, oops, we're sorry we spent all your money, here's $100 that remains. I mean, I want them to adopt a child, I do. I just don't want to pay for it with my money. I'll pay for my own children one day. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. So I know getting angry and frustrated won't do any good, but what can I do? How do I talk to them that I don't like this and I don't want my money spent on it? The top commenter said the literal answer is talk to a lawyer. They're willing to put you in debt for 10 to 15 years to satisfy their own desires. Good parents do not do that. Opie says, how do I find a lawyer? I don't have money to pay for the lawyer either. Attitude says, do you have any recent paperwork showing that the amount in your accounts? If so, I'd keep it so you have some form of proof of the money you have. I'd hate to see them take it in smaller increments and it not get noticed until it's too late. Opie says I'll have to sneak into my dad's documents to find them and take pictures. Yupper says Coogan's law exists in California. I don't know if you want to sue your parents, but there is precedent that would help. Crooked Lima says California, New York, Louisiana, and New Mexico. Opie's money should be in a trust. If it is, he might want to call his trustee about this issue. Now, it'd be one thing to say to Opie, oh, can we borrow some money for this reason? Look, I still don't think it's acceptable. I think the money should still go to OP and it shouldn't be used whatsoever. But that's one thing. But to sneakily do this behind OP's back and, just say, oh, we'll tell him when he's 18, he doesn't need to know now. Oh, surprise, mate, we've spent all your money. Like, fuck it. What do you think that's going to do? Why would you think that's a good choice to make? It's just so bizarre. But what do you guys make of that one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have another story. Now, our next one comes from the Petty Revenge subreddit from Red Phantom 000, and it says, sit in my seat and refuse to move. Enjoy being uncomfortable. Last week, I took a flight from Athens, where I'd been visiting relatives, to London. It was a late flight. I was exhausted and the plane was full. I was in a window seat which I'd chosen so I could rest my head against the walls and sleep. But when I got to my row, there was a guy in my seat. He had big headphones on and had his head turned away from me. I tried telling him that he's in my seat. He doesn't respond, thinking maybe he can't hear me because of the headphones. So I gently tap him on the shoulder. No reaction. I try again, still nothing. He doesn't even turn towards me. Edited to add that he's clearly not asleep. He's sitting upright and I can see his eyes are open. I considered calling over a flight attendant to ask him to move, but there isn't one nearby, and I'm not in the mood for it to be a whole thing. So I just take the middle seat and quietly fume. A few minutes later, the young woman who is sitting in the aisle seat arrives and takes her seat. She's traveling with her friend who is sitting in the window seat in the row behind us. They're talking to each other across their seats. Then the woman sitting in the aisle seat turns to me and asks if I can swap with her friend so they can sit together. I say sure, no problem. Now, at this point, it is important to point out that her friend is very fat, borderline obese. Not fat shaming, I'm a heavy guy myself, but she is at least twice as wide as me. I probably would have swapped even if she hadn't been fat, but I saw a chance at revenge. As I get up to move, I see the guy sitting in my seat has turned around and realized what is about to happen. He doesn't look happy and gives me a look like he's saying, please don't move. I ignore him and swap seats. I spend the flight mostly with my eyes closed as I try and fail to get a nap. But I do occasionally have a look at the row in front of me, and I'm very satisfied to see that the fat woman in front of me is taking up nearly half the window seat as well as her own seat, and that the guy in my seat is squashed up against the wall of the plane. I hope he spent the flight thinking about how, if he had just taken his own seat, he'd been able to swap with the fat woman, and I'd have been the one pinned against the wall. Maybe next time he'll think twice before he takes someone else's seat. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of today's collection of stories? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.